Hello, I'm the 10-Minute English teacher and you're here to revise for your GCSE English literature, and we're thinking about Romeo and Juliet today and Romeo quotes that you must know. Okay, in front of you here you've got an action trail for Romeo. First time we see him, he's speaking to Benvolio about Rosaline. He's in love with her. She doesn't return his affection. And then at the very end of the play, after he's, of course, met Juliet, he takes his own life at the very end when the play ends. So your job, you can pause the video if you want to do this activity. Think very carefully. Can you fill those boxes? What happens involving Romeo in the play? Okay, let me take you through what does happen, some key moments. So Romeo speaks to his cousin Benvolio about Rosaline. He's in love with her. It's not returned, and he's not much fun to be around at that point in the play. And we end up at the ball. The Capulet family are having a ball, and Romeo goes, and at that event, he meets Juliet and falls in love at first sight. After the ball, everyone goes home. She goes to bed, and he creeps round the back of her house, Juliet's, and listens to her speak at the they then speak to each other and speak about getting married. Romeo then goes to Friar Lawrence, somebody who he is friends with, and talks about his feelings for Juliet and his wish to marry her. Friar Lawrence thinks it's a cracking idea, especially without inviting their parents. He talks interestingly about how young people are really impulsive and naive, and then thinks, yeah, okay, let's get that done. Go and let her know. So Juliet speaks with the nurse, and then the nurse and Friar Lawrence are involved in that marriage, and they arrange together for that to take place. Romeo is having the best day of his life. He's just married Juliet, but Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, who'd seen him at the ball, wants to fight Romeo, and challenges Romeo. Now Romeo doesn't want to fight at first, but then his mate Mercutio gets killed in the fighting, and then he does choose to fight Tybalt and kills him, and then rushes off to consummate his marriage, which is a word that you can use in the examination. They spend the night together, they're physically intimate, and then he has to leave for Mantua because the prince, who's sort of like the mayor, says Romeo has killed Tybalt, but we would have probably killed Tybalt anyway because he killed Romeo's mate. So rather than have him put to death, we'll just say he can't live here anymore. So Romeo's got to go and live somewhere horrible called Mantua. Romeo's friend Balthazar tells him that he's seen Juliet dead in Verona. We know she's not dead, she's pretending to be. It's all a part of Friar Lawrence's crazy plan to try and make things right. And then Romeo mistakenly gets hold of some poison and then goes to take his own life by Juliet. So that's what happens to him in the play. Now, one of the things you need to do in the exam is show that you understand alternative interpretations and a little bit about context too. So we can interpret Romeo in different ways. We can look at him in different lights. Shakespeare's audience may have seen him as doomed by fate and it was all meant to happen. And they may have emphasised with his parents who he's dishonoured. So that the Elizabethans may have actually felt a little bit more empathy and understanding for Capulet and seen that Romeo and Juliet are actually disrespectful to their parents. We can also see him as someone who's driven by love and not hate. So we can see him in a positive light as well. We can see him as a character who's not as proud as some of the other characters like Tybalt. And here are quotes that you need to know for the examination. So we've got love is a smoke made by the fume of sighs, or made of the fume of sighs, all permissible in the examination. But that metaphor there involves this image of smoke. And if you think about smoke, it's something that chokes you, blinds you. It might be foreshadowing the poor decision making that he's going to make later on in the play. But interestingly, we've also got the motif of fire being introduced here. There's a lot of imagery of fire, and it does suggest that they're passionate and loving, but also quite impulsive. Young people in this play just act without thinking, and that's something we can associate with Romeo. Romeo also says, sad hours seem long. And one of the things that's really good about that quote, nice and easy to remember, it also shows that he lives in the present moment. He never thinks this pain is going to fade, and he doesn't plan ahead for his future in the same way that, say, Capulet does when he thinks about Juliet. He's trying to plan her future. He's got more experience than Romeo, and Romeo very much lives in the present moment and is, cannot escape his own feelings in the present. We've got Bid, a sad man in sickness make his will, another one from the beginning when we see Romeo for the first time. He's so lovesick that he thinks he's going to die. There's also a bit of irony here because we know that he is going to die, but just not yet. We've got "Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright." That's what Romeo says the first time he meets Juliet. And again, we're introducing that motif of fire. Fire is a thing. It happened, Shakespeare keeps using that when he's exploring Romeo's character. So we've got that burning there. We've got iambic pentameter reflecting his love for her. And we've also got the image of light. It's like, he was in the dark before and now he's met Juliet. There's a big change in his perspective and his mindset. But you've definitely got that motif of fire, suggesting he's being impulsive as well. And then he says, "Speak again, bright angel." There's loads of religious language that Romeo uses to describe Juliet, and it is helping to provide that little bit of dramatic irony, reminding us they're both going to die, which is what we find out at the beginning from the prologue. But as well as that, the use of religious imagery here is sort of hinting at the idea that he's getting it wrong. He should be worshipping his parents and God and not Juliet, which is certainly the way he goes about his business from the onset of his meeting with her. We've got fire-eyed fury, be my conduct now. That's what Romeo says just before killing Tybalt. We've got fire again. He's about to kill Tybalt, fights Tybalt, kills Tybalt. Rather than take responsibility for that, he says, "I am fortune's fool." So he blames fate and chance for what's happened to him. And you can look at it two ways. Is it his fault that everything goes wrong, or is it chance and fate and just bad luck? Probably a bit of both. But just remember, we can see this character in the positive or the negative. Alright, check out my other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask for something you'd like to see me cover in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep revising.